My mum used to see my school's name come up on her phone and she used to go, "What's she done now?"
Firstly, I want to say, thank you to, is it Mark Dennis of Dennis and Dyer Gym, letting us use this for the podcast. Really appreciate it.
I met Mark through one of my friends from school. Her uncle owned his old gym, and we was on holiday and he was there and he said, "I'll come down to the gym. It's here." And I started at Muay Thai gym before and it was literally around the corner. So it was about the same distance. So it was like, "I'll come down and try it." And then me and Mark got on well. So I was comfortable and I stuck with it.
Pro debut, only last year. I've been hearing so much about you, it does feel like you've been out for ages. It's only last year, isn't it?
Yeah, June.
June last year.
Yeah.
And what was her name? Angelica Oles.
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
On a top tier show. Just talk me through that first experience of turning over. And even though it's small hall, it's still quite
it's a big platform.
It's still a big platform.
A lot of people know about Johnny's shows and he does it all so professional. It's just like, you couldn't ask for anything better for a small hall show, really. Like the media he gets, all the people he gets down there, the coverage he gets on social media, it's a brilliant platform to be on, so you can't really complain about it.
To be fair, you can't. And I tell you what is good about it, it's almost, I don't mean this in a disrespectful way, but it's almost like training for the bigger cards.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is, most of those small hall shows, they don't have their own media attached to it, their little production company type of thing attached to it. Whereas Johnny's got that, and so he's got his, his set of presenters.
Yeah, he does his media days.
Yeah,
he does it really, really well. So it prepares you if you was going on a Matchroom or a Queensbury show for that. So yeah, I'm lucky to especially be on it on my debut and my last 2 fights as well.
It's got all the and again, I don't mean to be rude, but there's some small hall shows, and again, that's about money. Like, they don't have the production value that top tier. It's got the old I think fireworks.
It's all about who you know as well. I think he knows a lot of good people around him and a lot of people that will help him out. So he's very lucky in that sense, but he works hard as well. So we're all very lucky. Whoever's on his show is lucky to be on his show.
Yeah, it's kind of a win-win situation.
Yeah.
But yeah, do you know what I noticed? And obviously there's not loads of footage, but you look so comfortable.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, so many people say that to me, but I don't know what happens. It's like, in the changing room before, I get quite nervous. And I always say to Mark, I'm like, "Oh, will I be alright? You sure I'll be alright?" And he's like, "Yeah, you'll be fine." But I think deep down I know I train so hard when I'm in the gym, and when I get out there, it's like everything I've done is for this. And I think in my head, I think my mum's watching, my sister's watching, my best pal's watching. I've just got to go and do what I do. And I don't know, I just feel, once you're in there, you feel so relaxed, it's unreal. But before and after, you're like all over the place. Before, I'm like so nervous. And as soon as I you walk like through these little doors at the back. And as soon as I see all my people there, it's like you get like this sense of like chilled outness. And I'm just like, as calm as anything, and I'm just like, that's it now, I've just got to go do it. And then after, it's mayhem as well. You're like, you've got to be here, you've got to be there, you've got to see the doctor. It doesn't stop. I think when you're in the ring, that's the only time you actually chill out a little bit.
Because it's almost like, this is the space that you know, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Those four, don't matter if you're in this gym here or you go sparring somewhere else, it's still the square circle, isn't it? So you kind of feel at home. But I think particularly for you, what did you call that? Chilled outness?
Yeah.
I like that. but particularly for you, like I noticed that I was like, this kid looks really comfortable. But not only that, and what I mean, not just like you seem to relax into it, you get the flow. And usually that takes a few years for people to kind of find that flow. And yet, to me, yes, okay, you can argue you're a front foot fighter. Yeah. But then I was like, okay, she's got some nice little counters, timed counters there.
Yeah, we work on my counters a lot. I think that's my biggest, what would you say, like, one of my best
attributes.
My counters probably and my jab. But that's what we work on all of the time. They're the two things I've always worked on. Because Mark, my coach, he was a white collar boxer, and he's the same with his counters. So I think where I didn't know boxing before, I pick up with him. So what he does, I now do.
I hear what you're saying, but sometimes for people to put those two pieces together, it doesn't always happen that quickly.
Yeah.
It's just something that I noticed. I was like, okay, she's only had 3 bouts, but look how these little bits and pieces are falling. Yeah, exactly, coming together, and you look comfortable, and then it makes us relax and makes us enjoy it more. I see you come out and you kind of like look to mum and you nod into the crowd. I was like, okay.
You know what it is? My mum is a proper stresshead. She worries about everything. Like even last night, the snow, she's like, make sure you're careful if you're driving. And I'm like 22 years of age. I've been driving since I was 17. Like she proper stresses. So I think in my head, I'll know if I'm calm and chilled out, it will chill her out a little bit because before the fight, she's a state.
Yeah.
And so is my sister. My sister's a nervous wreck as well. Both of them, the pair of them together, you can't get a conversation out of them because they're just, both of their minds are just somewhere completely else. So I think in my head, if she sees I'm alright, she's like, it's like a deep breath for her. She can just go, relax.
And then just enjoy your passion.
Yeah.
I was going to say the fuck out of someone, but I just said it. I think I saw somewhere you saying that you didn't have like this extensive amateur career. You started off on the white collar scene. How many fights did you have as a white collar fighter?
I had 4 white collars. But the way that the guy does the Quest shows, Alan his name is, he does them very much like professional shows. So you get like a change room, you get the ring walk, they come around, they do your gloves, they check your gloves. So I think I was already used to that kind of scene. And most of my fights were at the Brentford Centre, which is obviously where Johnny does all of his shows. It was kind of like just going from home to home.
Yeah.
So I was lucky. But with the amateurs, it was like you're here, then you're here, then you're here. And it's all very fast paced, whereas in the white collars, I'd already done, I think I'd done 4 or 5 rounds in the white collar scene. So I was already used to that. And then going back to having to do like fast paced, 3 rounds, 2 minutes, it was like just not for me. I hated the amateurs.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, it wasn't for me at all. I hated it. I never felt like I was fighting. I just didn't really enjoy it. I guess you could say I lost my love for boxing a little bit because I didn't have that. You don't get the same excitement. Obviously, for everyone else, it's different. But I think where I had that white collar, you have to sell a ticket, people come see you. With the amateurs, it was very much like you turn up, you fight, you win or you lose, and you go on, and you just crack on. I was so used to having the white collar where you sell the tickets and the big camp leading up, and the amateur was never like that. It was like you could find out Monday that you're fighting on Saturday. And I think for me, my big thing is routine. And I didn't have the 8-week camp or whatever, and that threw me.
So I didn't realise that you went the other way round. So you started off on the white colour. Yeah, I can understand that.
Yeah.
You almost got the glitz and the glam, and then you had to go back to some cheap seats in the back, getting changed in the toilet.
Yeah, literally.
Right.
Yeah.
I understand.
Down to a sports hall.
yeah. I mean, the amateur scene obviously has its merit, but I think if you'd have, had it the other way round,
it would have been different.
It would have been very different because you wouldn't have known that.
Different.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You touched briefly on routine and you needed routine, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But the fact that you did your white collar at Brentwood, and then now you had your professional debut, and since consequently had the other 2 bouts, I can now see why you feel so comfortable in that space.
Yeah, because that's my whole thing. Wherever I go, I have to find my bearings first.
Yeah.
And that's like a big thing for me. Otherwise, I'm like, oh no, like what am I doing now? Don't know where I'm going, I don't know where this is, don't know where that is. So it was just like a comfort thing. I was so happy when he said it at the Brentford. I was like, oh yes, thank God. I think it's important for me as well to box somewhere else now to get used to that. Otherwise I'll never get used to it and I'll be like, oh my God, no.
Yeah.
And freak out a little bit.
Yeah, 100%. It's a plus and a minus doing media, because I understand obviously as a professional fighter you've got all the training, and then on top of that, so that's the physical side, and then you've got the mental side of literally trying to stay like wide and switched on to do interviews, and I can understand how annoying and frustrating that can be, from your point of view or from a boxer's point of view. But you do something called, don't you do a t-shirt day and meet and greets?
Yeah, we did on the last fight, yeah. So I work at the gym as well.
Ah, okay.
So I work and train a few clients, a few young girls, young boys, teenagers, just really helping them, like if they struggle mentally, struggle with their anger, struggle at school, just to give them a little bit of confidence, because that's how I started, and it's nice to be able to do that for someone else.
Yeah.
So I love my job. I think even if I was a millionaire, I would still come here and train people just because I love it. So I get a lot of my support from this gym. A lot of people come in, they buy tickets, they want t-shirts. Obviously they come to the gym to train, so they want to wear the t-shirts when they're training. So we was like to give back to them. I had such a good turnout on my debut, and then even better one on my second one. On my third one, we was thinking, like, how could we give back to them for being so supportive all the time? So it's like, if you buy a ticket, we'll give you a free t-shirt. So it worked out wicked.
And you talk about your mum. She's been somebody that was kind of at the forefront of you getting into boxing, was she not?
Yeah. So when I was little, I was a little shit, really, from the age of about 2. And I think a lot of people put it down to just me being a naughty kid. And then when I went to secondary school, I really struggled really bad. And I got into a bit of self-harming. I used to punch walls at school. And it got so bad at home that I ended up in hospital. But because it was the weekend, there was no one from the CAMS team to reach out. So I had to stay in, and I literally freaked out. But my mum stayed with me overnight and everything. Stayed by my side. And then I got introduced to a lady from the CAMS team, and I had to see her weekly, and she was like, I think there's something more going on here. And I got diagnosed with high functioning autism. And that was the start of it, really. And I was still angry, but I think that the diagnosis helped a lot, because it was like, I'm not just an angry kid.
Yeah.
There's something more here. So I was more relieved, but everyone was like, oh, do you feel certain way? I was like, I'm just relieved that I'm not just like an angry kid who goes around punching walls and doing this and that. And I think my mum was relieved a little bit as well. And my nan and my sister even went to like a meeting to understand more about the autism, how they can help, how my brain works different to theirs, and things like that. So my family are so supportive. And I think it got to a point where I was so bad, she was like, I just want you to do something that will just control it, because her thing was, when I leave school, I can't go out and just flip out wherever I am. So I started at a Muay Thai gym with one of her friend's brothers, and that's how I started just doing pads here and there. And then I think I got a bit more passionate about it, and I was like, I could do something here. And the guy was like, do you want to fight? And I was like, I'd like to fight, yeah, but we'll just see. And then we went on a holiday, and my friend's uncle was out there, and he mentioned that he had a gym, and he was like, come down and try it. And I went and met Mark. It was down the road, literally down the road, down there. And we turned up, and he trained me. He killed me. I felt sick, I cried. And when we left, my mum went, we got in the car, my mum went, you don't want to go back, do you? And I went, I do. She was like, you do? I was like, yeah. I think part of her was like, thank God for that. Yeah. I think she was just relieved. And she used to, I literally used to leave school, go home, get changed. She'd pick me up, and we'd drive here every Tuesday and Thursday. And I'd train for about an hour, 2 hours, come home. And she knew that day I would just be calm. And the next day I'd be chilled out as well. It was the days that I didn't have boxing that we were like, oh no, how's the day going to go? Because literally every day I could wake up fine and finish the evening in the worst mood ever. Yeah, my mood could just switch like that. Or I could go to school and feel like I'm going to have a good day and have the worst day, get sent home. My mum used to see my school's name come up on her phone, and she used to go, what's she done now? So yeah, my mum's a big person in my life. Even now, she's great.
Yeah, she sounds it.
She's superwoman.
Yeah, listen, most mums are, to be fair, and it's nice to hear that not only was she, a pivotal, person in that decision to go boxing, but I'm sure her seeing how it's affected you, do you know what I mean? It must be like, yeah, okay, we laugh and joke and go, she's thinking, thank F, do you know what I mean? But just thinking there's something that helps, do you know what I mean?
I think she's just happy that I've just found something that just gets me up every single day and gets me out of the house. When I got my diagnosis, they said, she's got high functioning ASD.
Yeah.
And there was people used to call it Asperger's back in the day. But
they did?
Yeah, they don't call it that no more.
Yeah, here we go. Autism spectrum disorder, or ASD it's now called, isn't it?
Yeah.
The definition of it is a neurological and developmental disorder affecting communication, learning, behaviour and social interactions. And the cause isn't known, is it? It's nothing to do with diet, or they say it could be genetic or environmental. but there's no cure, is there?
No.
So you basically have to kind of manage that. And I'm guessing from high functioning, there are things that obviously you can do, and then there are other things that you can't do. Did it ever affect your speech in any way? Because apparently sometimes it affects children's speech and stuff like that.
When I was a kid, I don't think so, really. I don't think it ever did, really. Sometimes I get nervous and can stutter here and there, but I think that can be quite a normal thing for people when they get nervous anyway.
Yeah.
But other than that, no, I wouldn't say so. It's such silly things that when I go to bed, I could be completely ready for bed, tucked in, pyjamas on, TV on, everything, and if something goes through my brain like, oh my god, I wonder this. I'll have to either research it or find it out there and then. It's like the other day, me and my mum were driving to my nan's and I see a bird's nest in a tree. This is how simple it is. So I see a bird's nest in a tree and I went, I wonder how they make bird's nests, like how the birds actually make it. And my mum was like, well, I don't know. And I literally sat there and Googled it and watched a YouTube video and everything, just because I saw one and I thought, how do they make it? But my mind's so simple, but it's so complex.
Yes.
So it's hard to deal with, but I also wouldn't have it any other way, because it's like part of who I am.
In respect to you having to go off and research and needing to demand to know like answers now, it's almost like, and I'm simplifying it slightly, but like there's an inquisitiveness about, oh, I just need to know the answer.
Yeah.
And I guess that's actually quite a good quality to have,
it's
to
not
be
a bad
fair.
thing, because as soon as you learn something, you want to know more about it there and then. But then it's like, sometimes it's a disadvantage because you get so obsessed with it, it overtakes your life.
Right.
So then sometimes you're like constantly thinking about this one thing and you can't move on from it. So you can't think about anything else until this one thing, you've done what you need to do or you've sorted it out. Like if me and my mum had a row, for an example, or with me and my sister or me and one of my pals, if I didn't sort it out there and then, my mind wouldn't be able to concentrate on anything else. I'd go to work and I'd be able to carry on, but in the back of my mind, constantly I'd be thinking, I need to sort it out, I need to sort it out, I need to sort it out. And I wouldn't be able to like, just turn that off, whereas some people can turn that off, crack on with their day, and then they'll go home and think, oh, I wonder if...
Yes.
You know what I mean? Whereas for me, it doesn't stop.
Just going briefly back to when you were first diagnosed, how long was it between sort of being diagnosed and then kind of seeing a kind of change in your behaviour because, oh, now we've got kind of like answers to kind of what was going on? Did you see a change in the kind of aggression and the hitting out and the self-harm? Did that kind of diminish slightly?
I don't know, I wouldn't say so, no. I think the people around me, like my school, were really, really supportive. And I think that helped a lot. I got EHCP, I think it's called. I think it stands for Educational Healthcare Plan.
Right.
So it's like, in school I had a timeout card, so if I needed like just 5 minutes, so sometimes you'd have double lessons, so you'd have to sit there for, it's like 100 minutes. So what's that, an hour and 40 minutes? I couldn't do that. So halfway through, my teacher, I used to just use my timeout card and I'd just go for a walk and walk around the school just for like 10 minutes and then come back and I could crack on. But if they didn't let me, I couldn't sit there for that long.
I know that this disorder presents itself differently in different people and there's no cure, is there? There's no medication that you can use, and so you just basically have to manage your disorder. Does it help that your mum has kind of gone off and done loads of research and then she can also see the minutes when you're like, listen, I just need a time-out situation going on here? It
does help, because obviously at home it's only me and my mum. My sister moved out a couple of years ago. So at home it does help. Like if I'm having a bad day and I switch off, she knows, right, cool, she's just having a bad day. If I just leave her to it, she knows if she goes on and on and on and on, I'll just flip and we'll argue.
Like mothers do.
Yeah, but then sometimes you do think like no one else is in your brain. So as much people can do as much research as they want, but they're not in my brain, so they will never understand. Like a normal day, just getting up is so much harder for me than it is for a normal person or a person who hasn't got autism. You're constantly on the go 24/7, and even if your body stops, your mind's just going all the time, thinking about this and then, oh, what about this? Oh, what about this? What about this? I've got to do this. If I don't do this, then tomorrow it could be this. and you're just constantly on the go all the time.
Is that not exhausting though? Is that mentally exhausting?
Yeah, it is, and it is hard. But I think the more you know yourself, the easier it is. And I'm never really like this. I'm either up here or I'm down here. But you know when you have a massive high, there's going to be a massive low, and I think that's the hardest part. So when I fight, I always go away after, even if it's just like down to my nans for a couple of days, because the high has been so high.
Yes.
And it's like as soon as I hit fight week, everything calms down because you're resting, getting ready, making weight, and that week all I think is, what am I going to do next week? Because you've not got that.
But also because you already know you've experienced the lows. It's there's a low
here
coming.
It comes,
I mean, it's great. We know it's
horrible.
almost like, I'm guessing that you can't fully appreciate the high because it's like, oh,
what's next? You know what's coming next.
Right.
Yeah. I think that's the hardest part. So for everyone else, it's like, you've done so well, like this. You've just done amazing. You've boxed amazing. You've done this. Look at all these people. But in your head, you're just thinking, how's it? That's fine for everyone else, but how's this going to affect me next week? It's proper hard. I think that's the hardest bit of it all. And people don't understand that either. So after the fight, everyone's texting, posting. And you're trying to soak it all in at the same time as deal with the fact that you're doing nothing now. When I do camp, everything I do is so intense. So my days are so structured. I get up, have my breakfast, train, come home, walk the dogs, have my lunch, chill out for a little bit, come to work, and then train after work. Like, my days are so regimented.
Is the structure something that helps you with the disorder though?
Yeah.
So can it have its pluses and minuses, that it's like, okay, I can fit in this much amount of things. I know that if I do this in the morning, it's not going to deplete my energy type of thing. Is that how it works?
Yeah. It's all very scheduled around my mood, what time I have to do things. It's like it being in my brain is complicated because I'm like, right, I've got to do something at this time, and if I don't get up to do it at that time, my head goes and I'm like, no, I've not got time to do this. I've not got time to do this. I've got to do this. Got to do that. It's proper hard work.
Yeah, you've talked about your mum informing herself, and obviously to help you because she is your parent and she wants to obviously do the best for you. But how can, say, people like your coaches, like your managers, how can they inform themselves to not only like best serve, let's say, your training sessions, but to best serve you and them? Yeah,
I think Mark, he knows me very well. So in that sense, I'm so lucky. Like, he knows. Some days he'll call me and it's so weird. It's like he's got a spider sense. And he'll call me and he'll go, are you alright? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, are you tired today? And if he says, are you tired? And I'll say, yeah, I'm tired. And I'll say it in like a certain tone of voice. He'll know just to say, listen, have today off, or just go for a run and stay at home. And he'll get my clients covered for me and just deal with it. Whereas some days he knows if I'm tired, but I can push through.
What's great about that is, and people tuning in probably think that all coaches are like that.
Yeah.
And listen, I can only talk about the amateur scene, and I think that some of those relationships are stronger. And I say that to say this: when people are earning money, sometimes how you feel, how your fighter feels, and I'm not saying everybody, some people probably don't give a shit how, they just need you to do what you need to do in order to get in and fight, and everything else that's on you.
Yeah.
So I think you're really lucky to have somebody that wants to not only do the best for you, but they kind of got that, you say, that spidey sense where they're like, oh, hold on a minute, something's not right.
Yeah.
And to be able to push, just to prod you when you need that motivation, and then to take the finger off when, back off when you need it. And I think that's brilliant. We talked about, obviously, I think, looking at you on media days, that you look really comfortable, but isn't stimulation and sometimes, being in a social environment, does that affect you in any way? And if so, how do you kind of manoeuvre that?
When I have a media day, the days before, I dread it. I hate it. Just because I'm not one of these people who like to be like the limelight of things. And sometimes when people ask me a lot of questions, some days it just goes, and then in my head I'm thinking, oh my God, what did they just say? I ain't got a clue what they just said. And obviously you're on a camera, you feel pressured, And it's like, oh my God, I don't know what to say now. And then some days you find yourself waffling on, and then some days you can be so blunt and you think, oh my God, do I sound rude? And obviously you don't want to come across that way, but some days you just can't mentally do it. So the days before, I'm like, all I can think about is media day. I'm like, got media day. And then once I'm there, I'm fine. And I'm settled in. Once I got the first one out of the way, I'm settled. But when I go home, I'm just shattered. Get at home, have my dinner and just go to bed, and I'll sleep the whole night through, probably for a good 12 hours, just because it's so mentally draining for me. Because it's like question after question after question after question. And obviously that's their job. It's not their job to think, oh, maybe I shouldn't ask her too many questions. And as my job, this is just something that comes with it, so it's something that I just got to get used to.
It sounds like you've got a really good group of people around you as well. And I think that's important, isn't it?
Yeah, they all understand me quite well. I'm so lucky.
Yeah.
But one of my best friends, he's been my best mate since we started secondary school. He actually, when we first met,
every time you talk about him, you really smile. There's loads of stories. Like, it's almost like in your mind, loads of stories flash by and what you guys have been up to, because it just made me laugh. Every time you mention him, you smile.
Yeah, he's just great. He's just like my brother. He's just like part of the furniture now. But I think I'm like that for him. But when we first met, we literally lived, my house was here, you come up my road, go around, and his house was there. So there was a park right there, and this was the first time I'd ever met him. Me and my other friend were walking down the road, and I heard, Lillie, I love you, Lillie, I love you. And I was thinking, who's that? And then this guy, it was him, he messaged me on Instagram and asked me to be his girlfriend. I was like, oh, I don't know. And he was like, oh, come on, like, we're starting the same secondary school. And I was like, no, I don't think so. I was like, we could be friends. And since then, he's been my bestest friend. When I was in school, if I used to like lose my temper or have a bad day, everyone would go, someone get Connor. And he's like huge compared to me, he's like 6 foot something. And he'd literally come in, grab me like this and just take me out of it. And he'd be like, come on, we're going. And I'd fight him. I'd be like, no, I'm not going. But where he was so big, he could literally just wrap his arm around me and take me out of it. And I think he knows me so well. And there was one day I had a really bad day. This was in my last camp before the upcoming fight. And I had a really bad day. I stayed in bed. I slept. I went to sleep about 9 p.m. on the Saturday, and I didn't get out of bed until 6 p.m. on the Sunday. And he knew that I felt rubbish, and I heard a knock on the door. And I went to my mum, who's that? She went, must be like a delivery or something. Opened the door and it was him. He was like, I've not heard from you, I just wanted to make sure you're right.
You've obviously talked about knowing yourself, pretty well, and I think you're very open, which is great, about not only your disorder, but you've been open about like a weight loss journey as well. Was that the injury that had you overweight, or is that part of your autism? Because I think some people do overeat, don't they, if they've got autism, because I think it's something to do with staying occupied. Am I right in thinking that?
So I think it started with the knee injury, really. I'd done quite a few competitions in the amateurs back to back. So I had a fight in February, lined up to fight in March. So I trained for that, and then that got cancelled. Was lined up to fight in May, that got cancelled. And then I had the Haringey Box Cup, and then I went to the whole Box Cup. So it was quite a lot, and my knee was struggling for quite a while. And just from all the mileage I was doing, really, the boxing, just a bit of everything. And I think because we had the competitions, we were just like, let's just get through it and get it done. And once it's done, we can just rest it. And then I think after I'd done everything, I wanted to carry on, but because of my knee, I couldn't. And I think it started to get me down a little bit. And obviously after competition and stuff, you do put on a little bit of weight. So I think I put on a little bit of weight, which obviously didn't help my knee even more. And then it was like, right, we need to have this amount of time off to rest, get it better. And then I just went, I don't know, it was weird because there was a few days I did still spar. I went up to Nina Hughes' gym, sparred with them. But once I got home, I just couldn't get the energy to do anything else. I didn't want to come to work. Just didn't want to do anything else. And then we went out to Spain to do like a little camp, like a week's camp out there, just to like get a different environment, train ready for the next season. And on the first day, I was so excited. We'd done about 3 sessions. And then I woke up the next day and I literally just couldn't get out of bed. And I think I had my mum with me and my coach there as well. And he come into one of my mum's room and was like, "You ready?" I was like, "I can't get out of bed today." And he was like, "What?" I was like, "I can't." And then I ended up getting out of bed. And then I think that's when he saw that I just had nothing left in me. So we made it kind of more into a holiday. It was like, if you want to train, we'll train. If not, we'll just chill, go in the pool. And they had like an obstacle course there, so a few days a week we went down there, just had like a little bit of fun. And when I got back, I just thought I just can't do anything for a little bit. And I got signed off work. I think I got signed off work for about 3 weeks. And I just stopped training and everything completely. And I just stayed at home. My girlfriend at the time, she went away. So then I was like completely on my own. I think that affected me a lot as well. And then I just put on a lot of weight. I just couldn't get out of the habit of eating bad. I'd get up and just think of bad food and think, oh, I'll start tomorrow. And then that led on to weeks and then months. And then I trained for like the first time in about October. And I was like, I've got to start doing something. And then November, I tried picking myself up a little bit. But I think I'd already got so big, I was just like, what's the point? Christmas is coming. I think I met Leon in about the July.
Yeah.
And then I signed my contract in the October. So that gave me a little bit of a boost.
So what was this, 2023?
Yeah, 2023, yeah. So this was all like a year ago.
Yeah.
And I signed my contract, so that gave me a little bit of a boost. I had my licence meeting last January, and it was like, right now, we've really got to push and get some of this weight off. And I think I'm about 12 kilos lighter than I was last year.
When I saw the picture, because it's not easy, social media ain't easy.
No, it's not.
And I don't mean this in a patronising way, oh, you're so brave putting it out there, but to a point it really is, because you know there's going to be some, I'm going to be polite, there's going to be somebody that's going to say something. And, how do you kind of deal with that? Did you have any kind of negative, or was it kind of received in quite a positive manner?
I think it was all quite received in a positive manner. To be honest, I don't really do a lot on social media. Everything that's done is done through like my manager. I'm not really that type of person. I don't check things. People go, "Oh, your interview's up," and I'm just like, oh, I prefer not to see it all and just let it happen. For me, it's just about being me, and that's what I done. I was depressed. I had a knee injury. I put on a load of weight, over 10 kilos I put on, and that was it. Everyone had known it. No one ever wanted to say anything. That's the truth.
But do you know what's great about that? It is literally like, this is what it is.
Yeah.
If you want to make something negative out of it, but this is what, because we all listen, especially as females. Yeah, I say that, I mean, I think now with social media, men feel the same way, but it's like, it's tough, it's like if you put weight on. And I think when you accept, like, it's actually, this is just it, this is me.
That's what I mean. And I think a lot, with the boxing, obviously, it's a weight control sport.
Of course.
Which is a massive thing. So it's like, you've got to always watch your weight, watch what you're eating all the time. And I think, for me, over time, that was just too much. And I got to a point where I just started, I just couldn't stop eating. Where I'd been restricted, I just couldn't stop eating. And then I think it just got out of control. Then I was unhappy. Then I was depressed. I had my injury. There was so many things. And I think people just try to hide it. And I think, in my head, that's just part of my life. And that's just what happened. So why would I try and hide it? Yeah, in my head I think, yeah, cool. When I look at pictures, I think, cool, it's so big. How did I even walk around like that? But then I think that's just part of what happened. That's part of how I'm here now. I had a great nutritionist. I've still got him. And I've got a great team around me who helped me. So I'm thankful for that. And that's just what happened. So there's no point me going, oh, no, don't post it. Because that's what happened. That's real.
So, first and foremost, right, all boxers really struggle, I think, with weight, unless you're a heavyweight. Do you know what I'm saying?
You got to laugh at Riley.
Exactly, right? And I think your story, just telling your story is going to help a lot of people. That's the first thing. I think a lot of females struggle in weight categories.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, if somebody wants to speak about it, someone wants to keep it to themselves. But the fact of the matter is, most people struggle, right, to fit into a certain weight category. And the older they get, the longer they've done what they, the sport, the harder it is. It's just facts, right? So I think once you kind of almost remove the kind of privacy of it all and you kind of put it on display. It's like, well, you can't talk, like, no one can take the piss out of you anymore about it. It's like, it is what it is.
Yeah, that's just what happened.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Say what you want to say, but that's just what happened. And I think it happens to a lot of people.
Of course it does.
And a lot of people struggle when they do it all behind the scenes, but I just think I did struggle behind the scenes. I didn't really let a lot of people know that I was struggling. If anyone had ever asked, I just said, oh, I've got a knee injury, which wasn't a lie.
Yes.
But obviously I was struggling a little bit more than just the knee injury. But it's like in the moment, you don't ever want to be. No one wants to be open about it, and I think
it's also about not necessarily wanting to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
And again, I get that also,
Yeah.
especially in this sport where people can see certain things as an advantage, or they think they can use it to their advantage.
Yeah.
I actually think this is a strength for you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because it's like there's nothing really you can do or say because everyone knows.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, just get on with it. I just think I'm not one of those people who will ever hide who I am. I am who I am, and that's just that. I'm just lucky that I've come this far. Like, or for me, sometimes I feel like I'm in a movie because it's like I can't believe I've got to go to a media day and people want to interview me. People want to ask me questions, and sometimes I'm like, this just isn't real. But I think other people, they're born for it. I'm not born for it. I just like doing what I do and just being real about who I am. And that's that. And I think sometimes too many people try to cover that up. I'm just an average kid who come from down the road, who likes the box, and I'm just lucky that I train hard enough to have got where I am and be where I am. I just enjoy it.
To be fair, I think that's what makes you likeable, and I think that's the thing that's going to make you. I'm not saying you're doing it for this purpose, but people are going to be drawn to you. Do you know what I mean? You're going to get more fans in that respect because they're going to be able to relate to you. Do you see autism as your superpower?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think because I have it makes me so real, and I see things in black and white, and that's just me. So I think it is a superpower. Yeah.